What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and welcome back to my little Aphrodite chat setup. I have not filmed a video in this area in quite a while, but I wanted to for this video because one, I know this video is going to be so long, but thankfully it's quite an interesting topic. At least, I mean, it's basically my two favorite topics in one video, so I think it's interesting. Hopefully you guys think it's interesting because it's gonna be a long one. If you can see from the title, we, as in me, are determining the big three of the 12 Olympian gods. I need to start off this video by saying that I am not an astrologer. I am not an expert in this. I've been on the internet for my entire life. I'm a Leo, which means I'm self-centered and I want constant validation for how great I am. So it's really inevitable that I got into astrology. I have been into mythology probably longer than I've been into astrology. I feel like I know these gods. I feel like I know their personalities. I am more confident in my knowledge of mythology, definitely, over astrology. I just feel like I've known these people, these gods, for a really long time, and I know the chaotic mess that they are. The big three in astrology is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. Your sun sign is your core of your being. It's the sign that people are most familiar with. Your moon sign is probably the sign that you actually identify the most with. Moon sign is your inner self. It deals with a lot of your your emotions and your inner monologue, your thoughts, your motivations, who you identify yourself as. And then your rising sign is what I describe as like your first impression. If I met you and I would see you, and my first impression, if I had to guess what your sign is, it would, likely be, I'm not very good at it. Theoretically, it's supposed to be your rising sign. So your rising sign heavily influences your appearance. So like, oh, you look like a Pisces, or you look like a Leo. It's just those kind of artificial cues that you get from certain signs. We are going to be doing that with the 12 Olympian gods. And for this video, I've actually done quite a bit of research because I wanted to just not have this based on my opinion. Firstly, we are going to get into what the Italians during the Renaissance attributed which sign to which god. During the Italian Renaissance period, there wasn't this strict belief in ostracizing like mythology and astrology and things of that nature that kind of Protestant ideas have clouded over in America specifically. This society was extremely religious, but they kind of attributed Greek mythology and astrology to be all-encompassed knowledge that God still ruled over. He is the epitome of all knowledge, so mythology and astrology fit into all of knowledge. So we have countless frescoes, countless artifacts that have these mythological and astrological themes in it. In Ferrara, I am going to butcher these Italian names. I'm so glad that my Italian professor does not know about this channel. In Ferrara, Italy, there is this Palazzo Schifanoia, and in this palazzo, there are frescoes called the Hall of Months. It was meant to just categorize the agricultural seasons, and in these frescoes, we have the Roman gods, and then underneath, zodiac symbol. So each month was dedicated to each sign, and then each sign was dedicated to each god. So the first god that we see and the first sign is, of course, Aries. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac calendar, and the Italians attributed Minerva to Aries. Minerva is the Roman equivalent to Athena, who is the Greek goddess of wisdom and war, and I thought this was incredibly interesting, and I definitely made a note of this. The next one is my baby, Venus, aka Aphrodite, and a lot of cases Aphrodite is associated with Taurus, and this is just one thing that I just do not get. I really just don't attribute Aphrodite to Taurus, but we're going to get into when we get into my analysis, but that one is a very common association. Next one is Apollo, which they believed was a Gemini, which again, it's very, very interesting, especially considering the next one, which is Mercury, who is Hermes, as Cancer. And I think this is very interesting because in my mind, if I was just to go off the bat, I would switch those two. But I think it's very interesting because Hermes and Apollo are very good friends. They're just messes together and they just fuck shit up. They are very complementary to each other, let's just say that. Then we have Jupiter, who is Zeus, who is a Leo, which this makes sense. It makes sense. I'm salty about it because, as we all know, Zeus is the fucking worst, but I understand. Then we have Ceres, who is Demeter, who is the goddess of harvest and motherhood and things like that, who is a Virgo. Makes sense. Virgos are the virgin, they are very practical, they are very analytical, they are very organized, so makes sense that the goddess of harvest would have all these things. And then finally, what I'm gonna go over is Themis, who is the goddess of justice, and obviously that's Libra. That is all the frescoes that I was able to find in the Hall of Months. I don't know what happened to the other months, and I don't know if they were just damaged, so we can't really see them. So apologies to Scorpio through Pisces, I don't have frescoes for you. Because the frescoes don't go through Scorpio to Pisces, I just looked up what the ancient Greeks attributed those signs to the person. So Scorpio is associated with Orion. Chiron, who is the legendary teacher or mentor in Greek mythology, is Sagittarius. Obviously he's a centaur. Sagittarius' symbol is a centaur. Capricorn is Pan. Pan is the god of wilderness. He is the ruler of like forest. Aquarius is Ganymede. He was the cupbearer in Olympus, so he was like the little guy who continued to refill the gods' cups. And then finally, Pisces is Aphrodite. Before we get into my own analysis, I just want to go over the planets. So if you don't know, each sign is ruled by a different planet, and in the Roman pantheon, each of the gods take on a name of a planet. It gives some information about which god would be which sign. We have Aries, which is ruled by Mars, who is Aries. We're all in agreement that Aries is an Aries. Taurus, again, is ruled by Venus, Aphrodite. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is Hermes, which canon. Cancer is ruled by the moon, Artemis. Leo is ruled by the sun, Apollo. Come on. Come on. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is interesting. Libra is ruled by Venus, Aphrodite. Scorpio is also ruled by Mars, so Aries. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is the funniest shit to me, especially when we go into what I think Zeus's big three is. Capricorn is Saturn, and Saturn is actually Kronos. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. Finally, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. How is Sagittarius and Pisces ruled by the same planet? Astrologers, explain. Hi, it's because that I forgot to mention that I used the historical planets, not the current planets. So currently, astrologers say that Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which makes sense, but I used historical, which used to say that Pisces was ruled by Jupiter. So that's why. Finally, we are getting to my own opinion about the big three of these gods. I created a whole spreadsheet cross-referencing the Renaissance signs, the Greek mythological signs, but not really because only Aphrodite really is relevant in that conversation because the rest of them are Olympian gods, and then the planets, and then my own opinion. I have at least included one of the three sources that I use to back up my opinion. I really hope you guys are interested in this because I have to go into every single one of the signs and every single one of the gods and compare them and justify why they are the way that they are. The Greeks spent thousands of years trying to categorize what the gods were and why they were that they are, okay? And I have like 20 minutes. So my life is rough right now. I knew Zeus right off the bat, immediately, that Zeus had a Sagittarius stellium. And a stellium is when you have the same sign in 3 or more planets. Zeus is a triple Sagittarius. Nobody, and I mean nobody, you can quote me on this, is worse than a Sagittarius man. Sagittarius men are the most misogynistic, most selfish, most self-absorbed, most unreliable, most unpredictable, most aggressive, most unaccountable of their actions. I mean, I could go on and on about Sagittarius men. Again, these are all stereotypes, you know, like, and again, we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of when a sun sign and a moon sign and the rising. But because Zeus is the epitome of what a Sagittarius is, we don't even have to account for any of the other signs. I mean, unless we get into his chart, blah, 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 but we're not getting into that. I'm not gonna create a whole ass birth chart for every single one of the gods. That's not gonna happen. Unless I get that ad revenue and that Skillshare sponsorship, then we'll talk. He has everything a Sagittarius man entails. The number one stereotype with Sagittarius is, again, don't get offended, it's astrology for God's sakes, Sagittarius is cheap. Like, that is the number one stereotype with Sagittariuses. And if we know what Zeus does in mythology, he is just constantly putting his dick in things. That's all he does. That is Zeus's personality trait. It's just putting his dick in things and then getting yelled at by his wife. I don't see any wiggle room with the fact that Zeus is a Sagittarius. It's a fact. It's a fact, and you've heard it here. And if we look at my spreadsheet, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so. As for the other things, Leo and Pisces, I definitely think he has those in his chart somewhere, for sure, but his big three, all Sag. Now we're gonna get into my girl Hera. Hera was one of those gods where I had complete free reign over because none of the sources mentioned her, which, you know, says something about the patriarchy in our society. Hera is the goddess of motherhood. Hera is the first Karen. So she is the goddess of motherhood, but she's the goddess of like the perfect suburban motherhood. So anything that goes against her picture perfect white picket fence family lifestyle, she's gonna judge it and she's gonna destroy it with every fiber of her being. Hera is extremely vindictive. She is extremely aggressive, extremely jealous, and extremely angry and petty all the time. And I mean, can you blame her? Like, imagine being married to Zeus. Imagine. I don't want to. She gets all the passes because she has to deal with him for eternity. So taking those traits into consideration, I think that her sun sign is a Virgo because, as I kind of mentioned earlier, Virgos are very organized, they're very practical, they're very meticulous, they're very much perfectionists for sure. Hera really embodies that perfectionist energy. I think her life, things she can control, so everything besides her marriage, is very much organized. I think she has Olympus on lock. Like, that girl makes sure that everything is working according to plan at all times because she cannot do that with her husband. So she makes sure that in every other aspect of her life, everything is perfect. Definitely has a Scorpio moon. Scorpios are a water sign, and Scorpios are like a tsunami. Extremely intense. If they're happy, they're extremely happy. If they're sad, leave the room. If they're angry, they'll be sulking for months. So I definitely think because Hera has that temper and she is petty as hell and she's jealous as hell, Scorpios are one of the top signs to be associated with jealousy and craziness. If you're a Scorpio, you've probably been called crazy by an ex or by a partner. Definitely think that she has a Scorpio moon because that woman just does doesn't know how to handle her emotions in a proper and healthy manner. And then finally, I think she has a Cancer rising. This one's really easy because Cancer is the sign of motherhood. So because she's the goddess of motherhood, I definitely think she would give a first impression as a Cancer. Now we're moving into Poseidon, who is the god of the sea, god of horses, god of earthquakes. Poseidon is a hard one, guys. One, this is another god that I don't have any sources towards, and he's definitely one of the hardest gods for me to give a big 3 to, because he's just extremely angry all the time. Him and Zeus are very combative towards each other. They are very much at odds with each other all the time, but they're actually very similar. So because Zeus is a Sagittarius, I definitely think that Poseidon has to be also a fire sign. And so I think Poseidon is an Aries just because he doesn't think before he acts, and he gets so passionate about things and he throws temper tantrums, and Aries are the child of the zodiac, so temper tantrums is just all they do. Poseidon, I also notice, is way quicker to anger than Zeus is. Zeus, because he has that Sagittarius energy, does have that like free spirit kind of energy. He very much needs to keep his place as the king of Olympus, and he needs that to fuel his ego, but he still doesn't do shit. He is always on his ass. More specifically, he's always putting his dick in things. So he's just always in the forest looking for nymphs. So he has some mentality of like that free spirit energy, but he still definitely gets angry. Poseidon, I don't want to be in a room with Poseidon. Let's just say that. Like if I'm ever in a room with Poseidon, I'm shutting my mouth immediately and I'm not saying nothing. If he wants to do something, I am doing everything in my power to help him do that thing, because he doesn't understand how to control himself and his temper. So that's why I think he's an Aries. And then I also think he has a Taurus moon because he is extremely stubborn. Hi, forgot to mention, Poseidon also kept Odysseus away from Ithaca for 10 years because Odysseus insulted him. If that doesn't exude Taurian energy, I don't know what does. And then finally, I think he has a Scorpio rising because I definitely had to, of course, pull water into his chart because he is I feel like he would have a very intense like appearance to him and a very like broody kind of look to him. Now we're gonna get into Demeter. Demeter, again, the goddess of harvest. She actually, thankfully, has some historical sources for me to draw on. I made her a Virgo sun, practical, very meticulous, very organized. I also made her a Cancer moon, and I made her a Cancer moon because Demeter is also a goddess of motherhood, and we know this, well, most of us know this, the myth surrounding Persephone. Persephone is Demeter's daughter, and the whole thing with her is Hades took her away, and they have the whole thing where winter she goes to the underworld and spring she spends it with her mom, and during the winter she makes things die. It's not because it's winter that Persephone goes to the underworld, it's because she goes to the underworld that Demeter makes everything die. That's a bit dramatic, and dramatics is what water signs do best. So Demeter absolutely is a Cancer moon. Doesn't know how to handle her emotions. She doesn't understand how to deal with her daughter not being with her every single day for 3 months or 4 months. I don't remember the actual timeline of how long she's in there. So she's like, I'm going to make everything die and not survive. That's one way to process your emotions, and that's definitely something a Cancer would do. So Cancer moon, and then I think she's a Virgo rising because if I think of a Virgo, Demeter definitely looks like a Virgo, you know? We're getting into Athena, and Athena, oh boy, Athena is a character in Greek mythology. Athena is one of those gods where I am afraid to talk bad about her. She really is one of those gods who just inflict fear on people. She knows how to defeat an opponent in the most effective and horrible way possible. Because of that, Athena is a Taurus. Tauruses, one, hold grudges more than any other sign, extremely analytical. They are extremely smart and intelligent about the world. They're very observant of the world. They know how to get things done in an efficient way possible, and they're also ambitious. Like, they not only know how the world works, but they know how to put themselves on top of the world. And I think that really just shows Athena as the goddess of wisdom and war, because it kind of combines the determination and the ambition that you need for war, and the strategy you need for war, and also the logistics and the intelligence that comes with wisdom. I also think she's a Taurus moon, especially if you look at the Odyssey. Odysseus is Athena's hero. Odysseus is the person that Athena embodies in the mortal world. He is her choice. He is the person that she has picked in the world to be associated with her. Like, that is not a light title to have. She needs him to succeed. Like, she needs him to be this great warrior, this great leader. She needs him to be the best, because it's her reputation on the line. And then I think she's an Aries rising because she is very passionate, very fiery. So I definitely think that she has an Aries rising for sure. Now we're getting into Apollo. Apollo was easy. Apollo was another one of the gods where I absolutely knew what he was right off the bat. I'm very confident in his placements. So obviously the god of the sun is a Leo. Apollo is a extremely charismatic god. He is an extremely ambitious god. He is a very much carefree god. He's very self-absorbed, extremely self-absorbed. He doesn't really think about his actions all that well, and he's very passionate. They don't really get angry all that much, but if you anger them, they are going to put a plague on your entire infantry and you're all going to die, which is exactly what happened in the Iliad. And then he has a Cancer moon for sure. Apollo is extremely sensitive, which again very much plays off the Cancer-Leo relationship. They're actually quite similar in terms of how they react to things and like how they feel about things. He kind of goes all in when he latches onto somebody. This is seen through Icarus. It's a very passionate relationship, but then they don't think about their actions and then one of them dies. Apollo really is a soft boy. He's one of those egotistical frat boys, but like you can't help but like want to squeeze him and want to cuddle him. That's what Apollo is, and that's what I feel like a Leo Cancer man is. So Leo risings, it's all about the hair. It's all about the hair. If they have luscious locks, they're probably a Leo rising. Apollo definitely has some curly, blonde, luscious, beautiful, shiny locks on him, and he's proud of it. Now we're getting into Artemis. So Artemis and Apollo are obviously twins, but Artemis is actually born before Apollo. So, and it's also not uncommon for twins to have different charts. I just love Artemis and Apollo because it just shows how well like the planets align and everything, because Artemis is born first, they could be born right at the moment at where Cancer and Leo change, which I just love. So Artemis is a Cancer for sure. She doesn't understand how to process her emotions in the slightest. She, instead of entertaining the idea that she could find a partner that she loves and wants to be with, she's like, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna go in the forest with my fellow lesbian sisters, and I'm just gonna spend my days frolicking around in the woods with my animals, and I'm not even going to look at a single person with any interest whatsoever. Truly an ace goddess. We love her so much. And then she has a Leo moon, which, so her and Apollo's charts are just swapped, which I just love this for her, because Artemis is not outwardly as self-absorbed as Apollo is. Like, Apollo will just walk in the room and that's all you see. You're not the sun for nothing. Like, you walk into the room, you become the center of the universe. That's just how Leos work. Artemis is not like that, but she is still extremely concerned with her appearance and how she's perceived in the mortal world as well as Olympus. Like, especially in the mortal world, you do not want to insult Artemis. Like, she's the goddess of the hunt. So she is still extremely sensitive, and she still has that ego that she needs to have filled and she needs to have appeased, but it's not in your face like Apollo's is. And then she has a Cancer rising, because for God's sakes, Cancer is ruled by the moon. Alright, now we're getting into Aries. I've mentioned Aries a lot in this video because I think it's obvious that he is a double Aries. He is definitely an Aries sun and Aries moon. Aries is the most unpredictable signs. You don't know what the hell they're gonna do, and every single time they do something, it's like 100% or nothing. It's like 120%. So not only are they unpredictable, but the way they go about doing things is the most chaotic way possible. War is chaos, regardless of if it's strategic or tactical or not. It's chaotic. So he's a mess, and he's an angry mess, but he's also super passionate and great in the sack. So good for you, baby. And he's a Sagittarius rising, I think. I was thinking about making him triple Aries, but I thought that was a little boring. So I wanted to make him a Sagittarius rising just because. Okay. It's time. Aphrodite. I got some historical things for her. Twice she's said she's a Taurus. And then once she's referenced as a Pisces. I don't think she's a Taurus. She doesn't have earth energy in her. She's definitely calculating, but that's really the only trait I can associate with her. She's not very grounded. She's not a huge commitment person because she's the goddess of love. Commitment is not her thing. I mean, for God's sake, she cheats on her husband all the time with the same man, so I guess there's some commitment in there, but I think she just likes the D. She isn't practical. Love is nothing, not even close to practical. Like, love is the farthest thing from practicality. You could say she's ambitious, but I still wouldn't really consider her all that ambitious. Love is just something that gets things done inherently, but I don't think that really makes her ambitious because it's not the reason she is the goddess of love. She's materialistic for sure. She likes nice things, so that's another thing that could probably go towards Tauruses. Tauruses are very materialistic. They very much like self-care. They like to treat themselves. And her sun sign is the thing I have most trouble with. The other two I have locked down. But the two ones that I am trying to choose between is Pisces, which I'm trying to avoid with every fiber of my being because I can't stand Pisces. Pisces women are my least favorite people if we're talking astrology to be around. They're idealistic, they are very unrealistic, they are dreamers, they have their own sense of reality that does not match what reality really is, and the more times I explain what a Pisces is, the more I realize that Aphrodite is 100% a Pisces. The other option I have is Libra, because Libra is ruled by Venus. Libra is very grounded in morals, which I feel like coincides with love, even though love often contradicts morality, so I don't think she's a Libra. She's a Pisces. She has to be. Aphrodite has to be a Pisces. Because love is the one thing that is both grounded in reality and really isn't. Love is something that you can't explain. It's, again, the furthest thing from practical. Love comes in and it's the one thing that always rocks your world and changes everything about it. And that's what a Pisces does. God damn it! Aphrodite's a fucking Pisces. Guys. Man, why y'all gonna do that to me? I hate this so much right now. Do you see the distress in my face? We're gonna give me some validation right now because she's a Leo moon. And that's not just me trying to project myself onto a goddess and get some validation. She really is a Leo moon. If I could put it into perspective, Lana Del Rey is a Leo moon. Yeah, she's a hot ass bitch. Leo moons are those people who really exude confidence in such a way that isn't in your face. They just kind of walk with this confidence. They don't need to tell you that they are beautiful or that they are goddesses. You just have that feeling and they just exude that power. Aphrodite does not need to tell you that she's hot. She's Aphrodite. She's the goddess of beauty. She doesn't need to tell you that she's hot, okay? And so that's a Leo moon. And also, it makes me feel better that she has a fire moon because Pisces with earth and fire moons are valid. She definitely has a fire moon because she is still very much a tactical bitch. Aphrodite understands what it means to be the goddess of love. And she knows the power that she has. So she is very much self-aware of her impact. So definitely has a Leo moon. I think she definitely has a Pisces rising. The iconic image of Aphrodite in her clamshell coming out of the waves. She's literally made of sea foam. She's got to be a Pisces rising, people. Like, it has to be. It has to happen. Like, that's it. And then also Pisces risings are the most ethereal and walking goddesses on earth. Like, if you have a Pisces rising, you're stunning. So now we're getting into Hephaestus, who is Aphrodite's husband and also the god of the forge, you dumbass. Hephaestus is definitely a Capricorn. He is very much a workaholic. Capricorns are the most ambitious, they are the most goal-oriented, they are the most hardworking, they are the most selfish. They are. They oftentimes find it hard to develop relationships as well as maintain relationships. Definitely works for Hephaestus, especially considering his marriage life. Hephaestus is a Cancer moon, which I love this. Oh, I made almost every single god have a Cancer moon, but that just goes to show how all of them are terrible with dealing with emotions. Carry on. He's a mess of a man when it comes to emotions. So not only is he so goal-oriented that he's kind of fogs up actual relationship building, he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions and he doesn't know how to process them and he doesn't know how to show them. This definitely creates some tension with Aphrodite, who is just so loving and so concentrated on emotions aside from reality, that this creates some tension because Hephaestus is the most grounded in reality and doesn't know how to process his emotions. Aphrodite is the most grounded in no reality and actively needs emotion and needs validation. So that's why their marriage is going through it. But Cancer moons are also very empathetic. They're very sympathetic, empathetic. They want to please. Their growth as a couple is one of the most dynamic in Greek mythology. It's just, ooh, I get like emotional just thinking about it because like they go through so much together and I love them so much. He wants to please, and so you get that growth. You get that growth. And then he's also a Capricorn rising because he just is. Now we have Hermes. Hermes was so much fun. Hermes, Dionysus, and Apollo are the group in Greek mythology. Like, they are the tag team, they are the trio, they are the mean girls, they are the it group. So Hermes, Gemini, 100% Gemini, there's no question about it. Hermes knows how to fit himself in every single group that he's in. He knows how to make people feel wanted. He just knows people. He knows people, but he doesn't know himself. This just further goes into his moon sign, which is an Aquarius. Aquariuses are often associated with aliens. Like, they're not from this world because they're so weird. It's not that they're weird. They think differently than everybody else, and they don't know how to show that idea of the world to people. But Aquariuses are also very charismatic, which goes into Gemini. Like, they really fit quite well. And then he has a Cancer rising. His Gemini pulls into the planets, and then his Cancer I'm drawing from the frescoes. So Hermes is a soft boy. He's definitely a soft boy. Hermes is absolutely like the class clown, but he's very cute. He's very soft. He's a soft boy. And like Cancer men are soft boys. Now we're getting into Dionysus. Dionysus was pretty easy for me. He's an Aquarius for sure. If anybody is the weird one, Dionysus is the weird one. Like, he literally is like the god of orgies. He's the god of wine, the god of parties, the god of sexuality, the god of everything chaotic about a person. And he also is not all that great with processing emotions. But once he figures it out, he's one of the most loyal. Dionysus and Ariadne are one of the most healthy in mythology, so definitely, I definitely think he's an Aquarius. And then he's a Sagittarius moon, for sure. Sagittarius moon, he is extremely passionate. He is extremely free-spirited. He doesn't stay in one place too long. Oh my god, he's a Libra rising. To pull comparisons to like a real life person, Jeff Goldblum is a Libra sun and a Sagittarius moon. If I had to fan cast someone to play Dionysus, it would be fucking Jeff Goldblum. Like, look at him. That is a Libra man. And I think Dionysus looks like a Libra man. Now we have Hestia. Hestia is the goddess of the hearth. She is the embodiment of fire, but not fire like Aries. She is fire like comfort, warmth, happiness, like comfort. Like, Hestia is the warm blanket that you pull over yourself while you're chilling in front of the fire with some fuzzy socks and some hot cocoa. So I definitely think, considering that, I think she is a Taurus sun because she's very grounded, very practical, very comforting. Tauruses are one of the most comforting signs. If you are friends with a Taurus, you are likely to go to that person when you're feeling shitty because they are so good at listening. They're so good at just making you feel comfortable. And then I think she has a Virgo moon. I think she has that very motherly nature to her. Hestia and Demeter are actually very good friends in Greek mythology. My rising sign for Hestia got cut off, but I think she's an Aries rising just because she is the goddess of the hearth, and the hearth is very fiery. So on first impressions, you see fire, but really when you get down under, you see she's much more than that. So definitely an Aries rising. Now finally we got Hades. Hades was quite easy for me to decipher. He is very much intense. He is very emotional. He is very broody. He's very introverted, wants to be left alone to sulk all the time, but he still has that deep passion. He's a soft boy at heart. You just gotta get through the tough exterior. And so he's definitely a Scorpio. And he's a Pisces moon. Like I said, he's a soft boy. Hades is really just one of those people who want to be left alone to his own world. And that, to me, that's just perfect for Pisces. He's very much a loving person. Persephone tops Hades for sure, so that tells you anything. And then I think he's a Scorpio rising as well. I think he really just looks like a Scorpio. I mean, he dresses in all black. He definitely's got rings going on. He definitely has his fair share of black eyeliner. He's definitely a Scorpio rising. He has to be. I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely please let me know down below what you think, what you would attribute each god and their signs to. What would be really interesting is if you have the same big three as one of the gods that I mentioned. That would be really cool. So, and if you do, did I describe you correctly? Because again, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm bullshitting my way through everything. Through life, through my existence, through this video, and through this channel. Comment all the things. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're excited for more.